and welcome everyone to another Women's Health Tech Wednesdays. My name is Nina Joshi, and I am very excited about today's episode. Today, we will be bringing on Heidi Edelstein and Karen Patrusky, who are the co-founders of Verbena. As you know, we love questions here on Women's Health Tech Wednesdays, so please use the Q&A feature at the bottom of the screen to ask these lovely ladies any questions you may have during the discussion. And so with that, we'd like to formally bring on our guests, Heidi and Karen. Thank you both so much for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
All right. Well, maybe to kick things off, would love if you could share with us a little bit about yourselves and how you both kind of came to create Verbena. And maybe Karen, we can start with you.
Sure. So I've been a practicing physician. I'm an OBGYN, and I've been in practice for almost 3 decades. Being an OBGYN is probably the most defining thing in my life. It's really part of who I am and part of my DNA. And I specifically chose this specialty of OBGYN because I really felt that it was a privilege to be able to take care of women throughout all of their life stages and create these lifelong, really intimate bonds. I love taking care of the adolescents and dealing with her issues as she has to deal with menstruation. And then as she goes on through to become a mother and delivering her baby. And then really at this stage of my career, working a lot in empowering women as they transition through menopause, which can be a difficult time. So I really do love and enjoy all of that. Over the past 2 decades, and in particular, the chaos and the difficulties of the past 2 years, practicing medicine has become progressively more challenging, more frustrating, and in many respects, it became a lot less rewarding for me. I was working harder than ever. I had increased clerical burdens. I was forced to increase my patient load in order to meet certain criteria. And as a result, patients were less satisfied, and so was I. But I really didn't want to get beat down. What I wanted to do was to continue practicing the way that I wanted to practice. And so instead of being beat down, I decided I wanted to solve the problem, come up with a solution. So came up with an idea. And who do you tell your idea to? You have to tell it to your best friend. And lucky for me, my best friend is Heidi. She understands the hardships of medicine because she grew up in a household of doctors, and she's a creative genius. And so she was really able to bring the vision of Verbena to life. So that's how it came about.
That's beautiful. I love that.
So on my end, I mean, and thank you, Karen. But as she mentioned, as a physician, and as she shared these experiences or these frustration and the challenges of practicing obstetrics and gynecology, you know, I listened as a patient. I'm not a doctor, nor was I in healthcare, but as Karen mentioned, I'm the daughter of 2 doctors, one being an OBGYN, which is phenomenal, and we love that. And so I understood her frustration in this day and age. It was a little different in my father's time, but personally and professionally, I have over 25 years of corporate branding and marketing experience, and I've worked for dozens of women's lifestyle companies, from beauty to fashion, pharma, packaged goods. And when Karen shared these challenges, frustrations, and actually her vision, I was sure that I could help bring her concept to life, not only from a branding perspective, but also from an execution or operational perspective, and help to create what is now Verbena. And we started this journey several years ago, and now we have, you know, a really engaging utility product, and we're excited to share it.
That is incredible. I love it. I love how, you know, you're kind of able to lean on each other to kind of, you know, use your collective strengths to build something that is really empowering. And on that note, would love if you could tell us a little bit more about, you know, the company and the mission of Verbena, and really what makes it unique.
Yeah, so we created the concept several years before the pandemic. At that time, the concept of remote access to care especially as it pertains to gynecologic care. It really was not well understood and not well received either. But we nonetheless, we definitely remained committed to our vision. We didn't waver after the pandemic, but our concept and what we wanted to accomplish, it just got bigger and it grew. And COVID let us learn a lot from that. We made adjustments to our platform, but we were always very clear on what our mission and our vision and our goals were. And that was to provide women, and that is all women, safe and convenient access to quality healthcare. But what was unique from our platform is it was with her trusted and chosen physician, not a random doctor, so that relationship remained true and strong. Our platform is meant to be used by all women. So for the busy woman, whether she's at work or whether she's traveling or has other obligations with her family, whether she can't get to the doctor's office, if weather gets in the way or a pandemic, that she still can continue her care with her doctor. And the way that we have designed the platform is it also makes it a lot easier in terms of workflow streams to make it easier for the physician as well. And we do it at a reduced cost to this bleeding healthcare system. So I really like, my favorite line to say is that a high-tech visit can really be one with high touch, especially when it's done with her doctor. And that is really what makes Verbena, I think, unique from other women's health platforms, because it's recognizing both of the consumers. It's recognizing the physician as well as the patient, giving both the flexibility and agility that both end consumers may need. So it's a supplement and a complement to the traditional system. It's engaging. It can help reduce burnout, which many providers are experiencing. So it just gives another way, an opportunity for providers to engage with their patients, and it's just a tremendous convenience for the patient as well. So we really are a physician-led platform, but it's very patient-focused.
I love that. That's it. Heidi, anything to add?
I mean, sure. Karen definitely mentioned what differentiates us from other digital health solutions today, in particular, sort of the direct connection to your physician, among many more. I guess, the long-term vision, at the moment right now, we are a multifaceted telehealth platform. We've got a lot of functions and features and conveniences for both the patient and the provider. As Karen mentioned, we packed in a lot of bells and whistles and make the experience, seamless, engaging, efficient for all parties. But our long-term vision, I guess, is what I would really comment on, is to be a full service, digital first, what we say, one-stop doc shop for all women. So beyond reproductive and gynecological care, we want to manage your complete, healthcare journey. And right now we talk about we say we're from menstruation to menopause, but we're talking about nutrition, mental health, heart health, and more down the road. And not only will we provide telehealth services, care, and consultations, but a ton of robust content, classes, and community for both the patient subscribers and the provider members. We will also have e-commerce with relevant products for women, live and virtual events just like this, lab and pharmacy services. And we just want to keep her on the Verbena platform throughout her healthcare journey. So by offering everything, she'll stay there and she'll trust us. So that's the long-term vision.
I love that. That truly is a one-stop doc shop. I love that. And it sounds very,
let's say it like 5 times fast.
Yeah. that's the tongue twister.
You might get in trouble if you do.
I think it's incredible, though, to have a place that's not only convenient, but it really is building that trust, to kind of go through, the starting maybe with family planning and then going on that journey together through all of these other milestones, I think is really incredible. And so just with, the vision that you were kind of explaining to us, it definitely goes to show that you both wear a lot of hats and have really, used both of your guys' expertise into creating this product. And as entrepreneurs, as mothers, as family members, just as being able to play so many robust roles, would love to know, how do you guys do it all? How do you kind of balance that lifestyle? And, what does a support system look like for, entrepreneurs in this space?
I'll start with that a
Go
little
ahead.
bit. I've been in the corporate world for 25 years, commuting into the city, sometimes by car, sometimes by bus, sometimes by boat. I said to Karen before we got on the call, sometimes I'm the driver, sometimes I'm the passenger. And I had 2 small children while doing all of this. And my support system was really, both my husband and, a caregiver, our nanny, I have to say, partly, which over the years became more of like a homework helper and a driver. But what I really found is that other working moms, as well as stay-at-home moms, I have to shout out to that as well. But the other working moms were equally supportive. In fact, Karen and I, part of how we became so close as our nannies and our sitters, we're very close friends and relied on a huge network of other caregivers for carpools and pickups and drop-offs and emergency things. And we have a community. Our community was our support system, and you really, as a working mother, even as a, you're always working, whether you're, the corporate world, really, it takes other like-minded, mothers, women, family, friends, to be part of that.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. It's all about the community to kind of uplift each other.
Absolutely. I mean, and just, echo everything that Heidi says, except I did the opposite in terms of making my life a little more simple. I live very close to where I work. I could walk there. I can bike there. And in addition to my friends and family as supports, I also happen to have had great partners as in my private practice. And we take our family responsibilities very seriously. And so that made having a very, busy and crazy, unpredictable hours in my career a whole lot more manageable. Becoming an entrepreneur to that wasn't my master plan. I didn't do it because I was bored. I did it because I really felt it was a personal necessity. I was so unhappy doing something that I love to do. So to me, adding that extra, I felt that I didn't have a choice. I really wanted to fix it. And what also became my support was Heidi, because I have been on this crazy journey with her, and she's not only my friend, but she's incredibly brilliant and incredibly hardworking. So aside from leaning on each other personally, definitely lean on her as well professionally.
Ditto.
That's incredible. And Karen, speaking a little bit to you had mentioned a little bit earlier about some of the work that you were doing kind of in your OBGYN full-time days. Would love if you could kind of, and you had also mentioned that you really created Verbena, or one of the inspirations was really just a lot of the pain points that you were personally experiencing as a physician. Would love if you could kind of share some of those with us. What were you experiencing, and maybe what was the catalyst that urged you to kind of say to yourself, something needs to happen, and I think I need to be the one to make that change?
Yeah, my phone would blow up constantly, whether I was on call or not. So I very much felt like I was being taken advantage of quite a bit. We live in a consumer-driven world. And so people demand 24/7 satisfaction, and they kind of felt that they were entitled to it in medicine, and they are. but we didn't have a mechanism to deliver that. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to be available. I wanted to give them the care and the services that they demanded and deserved, but I wanted to be fair to myself. And that was what was escalating the burnout. So I wanted to find like that way where I could be available on their terms, but not feel, I don't want to say resentful, because I'm not resentful. I just, you can't be all things to all people all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was like the infrastructure itself like wasn't allowing you to be able to give what you needed.
You know, and the longer I had been practicing, you know, we were burdened with a lot more clerical work, a lot more to do than ever before. So, you know, as people get more at a higher level in their career, things usually tend to ease a little bit, but the exact opposite was happening. So that was my personal pain point.
No, and I think we really being able to paint that picture about how, you know, they're like the burnout, the mental health issues, like those are all very, very real for, you know, a lot of people, especially kind of folks in the front lines that are working, you know, in medicine. So I think I'm glad that you were kind of able to call that out and to recognize that something needed to happen.
Yep, absolutely.
And kind of Heidi, going over to you, you know, I know you have a robust career kind of in the corporate world. What kind of prompted you to kind of make that transition from corporate into the startup space? And was there anything that you kind of took with you, I guess, as a co-founder?
You know, it was probably COVID that really accelerated the move into working on a full-time startup. At the time I was doing, about 2 years ago, or over 2 years ago, I was doing some consulting right before the pandemic hit, and it was an easy transition to work from home at that time, create a product from scratch, and then learn something new at the same time. So I was actually at the right place at the right time, or we were, Verbena. It was never a right time with COVID. I don't want to say that, but I mean, we were at the, you know, where we were in the development of Verbena, which wasn't Verbena 2 years ago. It had a different name, but that's a whole nother chapter. So that was a little bit more of a timing thing versus a choice thing. But without a doubt, my corporate background has definitely been crucial to helping to launch Verbena. You know, those years provided me with, you know, a lot of, you know, marketing and business skills, executional experience, and I've been able to help activate that for Verbena. And since we didn't have a lot of resources, it was really Karen and I and HITLAB actually, and Stan. We were really, you know, Karen and I we were forced to roll up our sleeves and get into the trenches and really become well-versed in new industries, new technologies, new languages, things that we weren't familiar with our daily, you know, I was in marketing and women's lifestyle, and as a physician, we weren't talking about coding and a lot of the tech stuff. So we really had to dive into it and rely on ourselves. And for me, more importantly, or what was going on for me was that Karen continued her day job delivering babies and seeing patients, which she had to do. So I had to be working and be available on a full-time basis to move things along in real time. As Karen, we had mentioned that, you know, most of our meetings were centered around her officers and some of our development team, but usually at 7 o'clock in the morning or 8 p.m. at night. But during the day, I had my own Verbena office hours. So, you know, again, it was not that it was not a choice, it was timing and a choice. But I was able to take all the experience I had from, you know, corporate branding, marketing, you know, and try to, you know, integrate it into how we have launched Verbena.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it seems like in kind of in the early stages, just having to be scrappy and just kind of make things happen.
We still are scrappy. We still are scrappy.
I think that's a very good trait to have, I would say.
I agree.
That's amazing. And of course, you know, being able to work with your best friend, I think is also makes things a lot more fun, probably a lot more enjoyable as well. And kind of on that note, I think, you know, being able to be such good friends and kind of go through so much together, would love to learn, you know, what's kind of that secret ingredient that has helped you kind of cement the friendship into now a partnership, into, you know, being co-founders? What did that kind of look like?
I'll start because I want Karen to round it all out because it's really important. I mean, yes, we are tremendous friends. You know, we start off, we have a lot in common. So let's just start there. We have a foundation, we have family, community, friendship. We are the same age. But then when it comes to, you know, from a professional standpoint, there's trust, transparency. We both have different skills and strengths, and which makes a good partnership, and we trust each other, we respect each other. And, you know, and then of course we have a lot of fun. We drink a lot of wine, we hang out, but I think that's the second time I said that. But no, I mean, really, it's been great. And a lot of it, we've got each other's back, and that's like number one for me.
Absolutely.
And I'll round that out and echo all of that. Verbena is, our name is, the verbena flower is used in homeopathic medicine specifically for women's health issues. But if you look up what verbena is in the Urban Dictionary, it is a great friend who stands by you, whatever, just because she loves you and she cares so much. And if you have a friend like verbena, you are lucky. So that is what a verbena is.
We're verbenas.
So
I love that. I didn't even know that.
We didn't know it either.
They probably met you both and decided to add it to the dictionary. That is so cool.
But go look it up. It's there.
I love that. And I didn't know that it's a flower that's used in homeopathic medicine. That's very, very cool.
Karen, quickly tell Nina more, because there's so much more about the verbena, the name, because
also if you break down, like, ver means truth, and bina is means a strong foundation. So we were trying to create a strong foundation between a patient and a physician. So that was really another layer of, you know, we really were thoughtful in how we came up with our name. No,
and it just goes to show, like, just the level of thought and intention that you kind of put behind everything to really, you know, make it something that resonates with everyone. So it's definitely coming across. I think that's really beautiful.
Yep.
I love that. So I know we have 5 minutes left, and before we ask kind of our final question, we actually have a question from the audience. And so one of our participants would love to learn a little bit more. It's a two-parter. The first part is, you know, currently with the platform that you're building, she would like to know more information about how does it work with kind of network, health plan, ACO contracting. What is that, like, reimbursement and insurance? Like, how did you guys kind of figure that piece out?
So remember, this is not a platform that is directed initially towards a patient. It's for a provider to use with her established patients. So whatever your doctor's insurance accepts, that's the insurance that Verbena accepts. So it does work with insurance companies, but it's matched with the provider. So the provider would use the Verbena platform and submit to the insurance plan.
Perfect.
You can use it if you don't have insurance, just like you can see a provider and have an out-of-pocket.
Right. Wonderful. And then there was also another question about how labs and kind of the diagnostic referrals are handled using the Verbena platform.
Yep. So that can be done in a variety of ways. So I mentioned earlier that it helps by diminishing waste to the healthcare system. So in many respects, by driving a patient out of the office and delivering that care closer to home, you'll reduce unnecessary testing. But some testing needs to be done, and the way that testing can be done in a variety of ways. Either she can do the visit at home and then, like, scoot into the office for having that test done. She can be given a prescription and go to a lab closer to where she is. Or lastly, we'll have some home test kits where she can collect at the convenience of her home and then ship.
Right.
That's part of phase 2, which is really important. A lot of the lab services and the affiliations with and the home kitting and testing is to come. sooner rather than later, but yes, it's all part of the master plan.
Love it. And I think it's great that you've thought through like all the different like levels of interaction, kind of depending on what is kind of the most convenient or what, whatever the patient's comfortable with. So I like that there's kind of different tiers. Awesome. And then last question that we always kind of ask for Women's Health Tech Wednesdays is if you both can share, just some final words of advice to anyone who's listening that, maybe has an idea that kind of wants to pursue being a founder or co-founder, any words of advice that you have, or just something that, was told to you that you've liked that you want to share forward with us.
Well, I mean, what I can say is if you see a problem, try to solve it. Don't be intimidated by it. And don't be intimidated by what you don't know. You just need to find the right team and brainstorm around it, and you can create it. And that's especially true if you have an impactful idea and a sustainable idea, something that can grow, because then for sure we'll gain traction. Look, in a million years well, I don't want to say my age, but I never thought I would start a business, let alone a health tech business. And here I am. So, I can go back to what Heidi said before, takes a village, it takes a village. So in this too. So just, if you believe in something, do it. There's nothing to lose by trying.
Yeah. I like that. That's good advice. Heidi, anything from you?
I was going to say, if you believe in something, then go for it. I didn't see the problem because it wasn't necessarily my problem to see, but I believed in the solution.
Right.
I believed in the solution, and I trusted the visionary, Karen. That was enough for me to move forward. And it's also timing. Look, it's not for everybody, it's tough. It's a little, the hours can be challenging, and and if it's, you're lean at the time, it can be, equally as frustrating. But I think, wherever Verbena winds up, and we really truly believe that we are going to be at the level that we are envisioning. If that didn't happen, what I can't speak for Karen, but I can speak for Karen, I would say what we both have learned from this process, and the people that we have interacted with and met and admired and followed, and who have mentored us, has been really, really rewarding. And my brain can speak a different language now, which is really the immersion that we've had over the last, 2 to 4 years, because it's been longer than 2 years. But so I would, if you believe in it, then go for it. So.
I love that. And I love that you talk about timing and just surrounding yourself with people that can kind of uplift you as well, I think is really good nuggets of wisdom. So wanted to thank you both so much for such an amazing conversation. Your passion for kind of what you're building just really, it's just so evident. So I think we're really excited to kind of see and kind of grow with Verbena and kind of, watch it blossom like the flower that it is.
Yes, that's perfect. Thank you, Nina. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thanks
And
a lot.
be sure to tune in next week for another episode of Women's Health Tech Wednesdays. And then also just wanted to give a quick shout out for our symposium that we have next week as well. So please be sure to register for that. Also wanted to give one last huge shout out to Heidi and Karen. Thank you both so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Nina. Thank you, HITLAB.
Thank you.
And then thanks to our sponsors, Goodwin and Witham. And thank you all. We'll see you all next week. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.